Hello and welcome back everyone to the Rockies franchise, and we are here in the Season 1 finale. Today we're going to be watching some of the final games of the season, maybe some playoff action. Yeah, that's right, maybe some playoff action, and the off-season. Now going forward, I don't want to do it this way. I want to do the off-season live. I didn't like the way it turned out, but this is the way I did it for Season 1. I was having fun playing through it, and I didn't know how much I wanted to continue this series after the first season. Turns out I'm loving playing this game, so we're going to be continuing it. I'm going to be doing live off seasons. How about let's start with an extension for Nolan Jones. So he's still in his renewable years, but I figured this would actually save us money long term. We're giving him a $120 million deal for 8 years. It's a front-loaded contract where he will be the star with a club option. Maybe a little team friendlier than somebody would sign in real life, but he will be making $20 million in his first year on this contract. 19 going forward, and then all the way down to 9.5 in his final season. So it's something where we could move on from him potentially much more easily. Going into this final stretch, the Rockies are 45 and 91. We are officially eliminated from contention. The Isotopes and the Yard Goats actually second place in their respective leagues. The Yard Goats 9 games back, the Isotopes a few fewer games back, but still in second place. Let's go ahead and get into the September call-ups here. And unfortunately, I don't think I actually show the September call-ups. I did. But let's go ahead and get started here with Hobie Milner against Gunnar Henderson in the top of the 10th against the Baltimore Orioles. Now, another thing I want to do going forward next season, as I don't show stats this episode, and I really feel like that was a fail. I want to make sure I'm showing stats. I want to show prospects that our rival teams have drafted. So I want to kind of keep an eye on the Dodgers and the Padres. The Giants as Nolan Jones dives for this ball and can't grab it. One runner scores. We're throwing home here, and the runners stay on second and third base as the Orioles take the lead here in extra innings. Milner now, another one hopped up here in the center field. Hilliard chasing it down with that 95 speed. That's going to be an automatic double though, as it bounces out of the park from the ground. And we will go ahead and walk the runner, or the batter here. And we check in James Karinchak to close this game out as he almost kills Ramon Urias. Ramon has to dive to the ground here. Not great pitching from our bullpen in this game as Doyle catches this one, and we'll go to the bottom of the 10th down 3 runs. Yeah, right. Ryan McMahon checks in. We have 1 out, and that 98-mile-per-hour fastball gets Ryan McMahon swinging. Now down 0-2, and he will miss on the knuckle curve a little early, quite a bit early actually. And McMahon strikes out, and so it's all about Eleury Montero. We send a runner to second, and we don't get there. They actually tag him out. So the steal attempt does not work, and the Orioles take this game off some just abysmal, putrid pitching in that game. Let's go ahead and check into this Braves game here. We got Brendan Rodgers against AJ Minter right now. Down 2 runs, and a 98-mile-per-hour fastball is hit, but the contact not that great. This one could have, if it had a little better contact, could have been out of the park easily. For what would have been my first home run in the series, by the way. I still haven't hit a home run, as the Braves would take this one. So we're going to watch some losses here. Now we got Milwaukee. We're at American Family Field here. Ezekiel Tovar batting. He's going to swing and miss on the high slider. Not a good play there. Against Abner Uribe. And this one goes way into the crowd. Again, a little better timing. That one could have potentially been another homer. I really want to get a home run next season. That's probably one of my biggest goals, as this one's fantastic timing. But the contact was just okay. So even when I swung well with these guys, it just didn't matter, as Milwaukee would take this game as well. And 3 straight losses to start this episode. Not super impressed here. Milwaukee again now. 3-2 in this one, as we're in the top of the 9th. Again, find ourselves in a troubling situation here with 1 out now and 1 on base. So it would come down to Brendan Rodgers. And he hits this one, but it's a little early. Good contact. That one again could have been a really nice hit there, but the timing this time messes things up. Rodgers now behind 0-1. Hits this one. It'll go right to second. This is for the double play, and that's the double play that wins them the game. Walk-off double. And Milwaukee wins again. The Brewers taking one over the Rockies. Now we take on the Detroit Tigers here, and Rockies get a run lead here. 2-1. Bottom of the ninth, rather. So just trying to close out this game with Chris Kell. And he was one of my call-ups, actually, now that I remember. So we called up Chris Kell from the AAA. He was having a pretty good season there. Really wanted to see what he could do at the majors, and I guess I didn't know how to jump there, but I'm not sure what it mattered. Walk-off game winner for Jason Hayward, and that's how Chris Kell closes out his first game in the majors. Not very good. The Isotopes actually would not make the postseason, even at 85 and 65, so unfortunately for them, nothing they could do, but the Yard Goats, with the worst record, made the postseason. They would play the Rumble Ponies in the first round here. Michael Prosecki having a dominant season down at AA, trying to close out this game now as we have a 5-0 lead. This, I don't think, would be a save, so I believe that's only 3 runs that makes it a save. Fastball gets Pregent there swinging, and now it's 1-2 in favor of Prosecki. This one hit off the bat, and that's going to be a fly out. Very playable, and it's cut. So Prosecki gets us 1 out, and now the Yard Goats just need 2 more to win this game. Fastball is a strike, so he doesn't have the fastest fastball. As he approaches 90 pitches, actually going to pitch this whole game. This one called a ball. I don't know what the umpire sees there. Great pitch from Prosecki. And then this one will be hit. Definitely playable here. Maybe 99 speed would have gotten that first base, but base hit does not actually nab a base. Now behind 2-1, and the fastball down the middle. It's down to 90 miles an hour on the pitch. He's definitely not the most speedy pitcher here. Definitely doesn't have a heater. But the changeup here will win us the game as the ball is thrown to first base, and the Yard Goats win 5-0 here in their first series in the playoffs. And they were actually behind going into this series. I wish it showed the series count like the NBA does. So they actually would come down to the final game here with the Rumble Ponies, and they win the Northeast Division playoff series and will be going to take on the Curves. As we find out, the Rockies would not make the postseason. Big shock, I know. Next season, I want to win 70 games. We won 55 this year. I want to win 70. I think a 20-game leap is easily doable, as the Yard Goats find themselves ahead 2-1, and the Yard Goats win the Eastern League Championship Series. So, you know, some success down at the minor leagues here for us. You always like seeing that. Our AA team winning a championship. Really impressive, and the Isotopes weren't bad. Let's jump into the World Series here, as Minnesota and Texas are in the semifinals. The Dodgers and Arizona, we have a division rivalry on the other side, and the Dodgers would beat the Diamondbacks as the Twins go 7 with the Rangers and make it to the World Series. So Twins, Dodgers, and the Twins would take an early 2-0 lead. The Twins up 3-0, looking like they're going to sweep the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani, what do you have to say for it? Nothing. The Twins are your 2024 World Series champions. Great run for Minnesota here. And now we go on to the offseason. And our manager, Bud Black, has decided to retire. That's okay. I was looking to replace our entire coaching staff anyway. Offseason begins. Now, this is where I could use a lot of feedback, and I wish I'd streamed because, man, I do not know exactly what I'm doing here. So we can offer qualifying deals, and what that means is it's someone who, if someone else signs him and we offered him a qualifying offer, they lose a draft pick to us, so we get a draft pick as compensation. So the way I see it is you want to offer a qualifying offer to someone who is like in the high 90s probably, because a $20 million deal, most teams aren't going to accept that for someone who's not at least a mid 80s player. Buck Farmer was our only player. It ain't happening with him. Edwin Diaz signs on with the Padres, as he was on the Mets and now he is on the Padres, so that's someone else we're going to have to face in division now. Don't love that for us. Now, salary arbitration. This is probably the most confusing thing for me. So I actually didn't offer really any offers here, any contracts. All I did was offer arbitrations, but we'll get to that in a minute. And then renewable contracts. This one is the one where I decided to most mostly just renew all my players. Some of them aren't renewable though. You're offering a 1-year contract, or you can even offer a multi-year contract. I'm not exactly sure what that is. In free agency, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, some really big names here. Excited to see where a lot of these guys go. Let's go ahead and get into our own team first though. So Ezequiel Tovar does not have enough MLB service time to be eligible for arbitration. You may renew his contract for a price at 80% greater than what it was. So basically $20,000 extra to renew him and keep him on the team. That's fine. So he goes up from $740,000 to $760,000. Not a big deal. Here again, we're going to do that. And you'll notice some players don't have that contract renewable law. Chase Dollander, for example, he has no years of service time, and I guess you can't offer him that same renewable thing. I'm not really sure exactly what that means. But Dollander, we could only offer him a 1-year deal anyway, so I guess it's similar. Baseline of $70,000 a year. Absolutely, I'd love to keep him on the team. Would be stupid not to. And Zach Veen, of course, we'd like to keep him. Again, most of these players I kept. You'll notice I left about 4 or 5 slots open towards the bottom of these players. And the reason being for that is I wanted to have some spots open for free agent signings and anybody else we might want to bring back, and the Rule 5 draft mainly. So we will be looking to the Rule 5 draft for some players, but gotta leave some spots open for that. James Karinchak, really someone I wanted to see more of. Now we know we saw him pitch and blow a game this episode, but I think he's got some really good potential to be one of our top bullpen guys. We're going to offer him salary arbitration now. Had I known what I was doing, I would have offered him contract and offered him salary arbitration. So we offered him $2 million arbitration. That's about what he was looking for anyway. Brennan Rodgers, however, is someone I wanted to have under contract. So if they're under arbitration, you can't trade them until they accept an arbitration, or the arbiter accepts a deal. I'm not really sure exactly how that works. But Brennan Rodgers is someone I actually offered a deal to because I was considering trading him. So we gave him a 5-year, $30.5 million deal. I think that's a very tradable number. Also, Jalen Beeks gets a $6 million 3-year deal, and then Austin Gomber, $9 million 3-year deal. The rest of these guys I offered arbitration for. Now, I did offer the lowest arbitration for him, so we'll see how that works in our favor. I'll give you a hint, probably not super well. Let's look at some first basemen here. Joey Gallo, definitely someone I'd love to bring in. Now, I know he's a little older and is starting to decline in his career, but I think this is someone we could get for a decently cheap contract that could definitely bolster our offense. I wanted to bring him in as an everyday player. 3 years, $18 million seemed like a pretty fair contract for me. Of course, we're going to front load it because we are in our rebuilding era, so we're not worried too much about getting players on the cheap currently as much as we are having them cheap later in their contract. So we offered Joey Gallo. We need a catcher. Elias Diaz, I'd love to bring back. Of course, we traded him away, but I wouldn't mind having him back as he did end up having a pretty offensively good season. About 260 hitting, so not too bad. Colton Wong's another player I think would be really interesting for us just as a depth player. 69 overall, so he's definitely getting on the last year or two of his career probably. But I think he has decent contact. Could be a really solid, bring him in and maybe he can hit a few times as a backup. Bring him in as a platoon player, if not even depth. Really, I'm not sure what these roles do. I don't know if it makes them mad and they don't play as well or something if their role isn't met. So if you know anything about that, let me know. But for the most part, I try to just give them what I actually intend to give them and then keep them there if that's what their contract says, unless I'm okay with moving on from them. Aaron Hicks is someone that I think would really improve our offense here, especially against lefties. So I wanted to have some lefty specialists here, and I think Hicks would do well for that. So we're going to offer him a fairly friendly deal. And then Jason Hayward, definitely think at his age, he could just be a nice veteran presence for us. Average 300, 17 home runs. Yeah, that's not bad at all. We'll go ahead and try to bring him in. But I also wanted to look at some other players. Adam Duvall would be interesting. There's just a lot of talent here that I think could help us out, but not necessarily take our team to that next level. Again, I'm looking to win around 70 games. I'm not expecting to make the postseason next season. If it happens, it happens. That's fantastic. But somebody like Adam Duvall, at his age, could be great for a 1 or 2 year deal. And how about a club contract? So 2 years, $12 million for an 80 overall with his hitting qualifiers, I think would be really, really impressive. Charlie Blackmon regressed a ton. He's down to a 68. Really not a great season from him last year, but he's someone I'd like to bring in as depth. I think he'd either be really, really good at the majors to, you know, just bring in once in a while, or maybe we even have him at the minors helping out some of the younger guys. Just some things I'm working in my mind. Justin Turner at third base could be pretty solid. Of course, I'd want him as depth. 1 year deal here, $2.7 million. I don't think these are too crazy of deals to hand out. I really also didn't want to get anybody that would reduce some of the playing time of my better younger players. Jose Leclerc. Now you may remember watching him for the Rangers against us, and I thought he was fantastic. He ended up posting a 3.5 ERA, but I think he could be a really, really excellent closing pitcher for us, and I want to give him that exclusive closer role. So we're going to offer him a 2-year, $12 million deal. Now the Rangers are offering him 4 for 5. So, you know, a little less money for him up front, but more guaranteed over time. We'll see what he ends up doing with that. I also wanted to bring in Caleb Ferguson, who could be a pretty solid reliever for us. 3 years, about $13.5 million. And of course, all these players, the idea is front-loaded with a club option. I want to be able to move on from a lot of money in a few years when we have all our younger guys coming up and seeing what they can actually do. But say those younger guys don't work out, I want to have club options so I can keep some of these players on and not blow up the core of the team. Jonathan Loaisiga, I would love to know how to pronounce that better. Loaisiga. And then Walker Buehler. This was kind of who I decided I wanted to be my ace. Walker Buehler, first of all, taking him away from the Dodgers is just great story-wise. Had a pretty solid season, and I think he could be our #1 starting pitcher. A true ace for this team. And I wanted to give him a decent deal here. He's still relatively young for MLB standards, at least. So how about around $8 million a year, 4 years with a front-loaded contract, and you will be our ace. Not bad. He's got pretty good interest in that. We'll see where that one progresses. Jamal Bryan becomes our third base coach, so we're getting new coaching staff because a lot of those coaches were C quality. Not very impressive. And we've made some signings here, but it actually auto-removed a lot of my offers because we hit our cap of players. So we hit 40 man, and we now apparently can't have those players offered. Like, it doesn't tell us to remove them, it just auto-removes your offer. A little frustrating there. We do sign Charlie Blackmon back, and Brendan Rodgers accepts the offer I put out. Now we have an offer for Nolan Jones. Now, I'm not going to accept this, but this is where things are interesting because a 25-year-old, 85 overall with B potential, so he's probably about the peak of his career. Someone that can definitely play position versatility. And then catcher Ryan Jeffers, who is also B potential 80 overall. This really could help out a team like us where we don't need star talent as much as we need better players all over. I didn't want to give up Nolan Jones, especially after signing him to such a good deal, but it's definitely something that might make him very, very interesting as a trade candidate, and I don't want to look past the idea of getting better prospects and having more talent. Sky Brown accepts our offer to be our manager, and then Pete Alonso going to the St. Louis Cardinals. The Blue Jays signed Corbin Burns. Pretty friendly deal there. Here's another offer for Nolan Jones. I'm not going to accept this one either, but Emilio Pagan as more of a actual starting caliber player. Alexis Diaz for a fantastic closer. That was hard to pass up, I'm not going to lie. And then Edwin Arroyo if you want that prospect. So 63 overall, B potential. Someone I would have liked to have considered, but it just didn't work out that way. Now I'm going to offer Joey Gallo and Walker Buehler exclusively going forward here. Gallo, I just want him because I think he could really up our offensive game. And we're definitely going to offer him around $6.5 million on a club deal front loaded. That's going to stay the same. Walker Buehler, similar deal, $8 million. I don't think that's too much. Forrest Samuel accepts as our first base coach. And Nico Harner signs with the Mets. So some really good talent being dispersed around our league. Martin Sheehan accepts our offer to be our coach there. And now all players must have contracts tendered by December 2nd. That's fine. We've already done that, so no big deal there. And now it's kind of just playing the free agency game. This is probably my least favorite aspect, as Joey Gallo accepts the Twins' offer of 11.2 over 2 years and does not go with us. Hey, you know you're making less money, right? I just want you to know your agent screwed you over there. Well, now we need a new offensive player here. Paul Goldschmidt, certainly someone that could be a 1-year stopgap for us. Really solid ratings here. Good career average at bat. And I think this is something where we can offer a little bit more money. As you look at our budget, we actually have a surplus of $67 million. And I don't know what the surplus means either. As Nolan Arenado going to the Yankees. That's pretty cool. If you know what the surplus means, let me know. I know you can have some money rolled over to the next season, but I also know the less money you use, as Josh Flow goes. I didn't even see where he went there. The more money you use, or the less money you use, the less money they give you. So let's go into this draft lottery, and we of course had the #1 odds tied with the Red Sox and the White Sox, 16.5. I tanked for the #1 pick, or at least the top 3 pick. So I think this was something that we made this call going into year 1, we wouldn't be good, and we get the 7th pick. So we drop 6 spots. The worst team in the league picking 7th. That's a pretty big blow. So we will pick first in the other rounds, of course, but 7th. A huge fall here, 6-spot drop. And now suddenly the future's not so easy. I definitely have to do a better job scouting, because at 7, you're not looking to get blue chip talent. You're looking to get okay. Let's jump into this Rule 5 draft. We're still trying to get some players on here. Drew Romo looks like he'll be our starting catcher, so not a lot of talent there, unfortunately. Alex Bregman to the Mets. The Rule 5 draft. So one thing is for sure, I did not know going into this, these players have to stay at the majors. Might have influenced my decision making a little bit. Not a lot of options here that can start, unfortunately. Brendan Beck certainly could be good. B potential 66 overall. But is he ready for the majors? Probably not. But that doesn't mean I knew that going into this. We draft Brendan Beck, and now we're stuck with a 66 overall starting pitcher at the majors next season. For someone who really wanted to get my pitching game up and help our bullpen out and stuff like that, not exactly a great move there. How about Joe Barlow? Let's talk about bullpen. 92 H per 9 is fantastic. 57 walks per 9 and 60 strikes per 9, yeah. Barlow's someone I could sign on and feel pretty good with, because I don't mind him starting in the majors. As much, at least. It's less of a risk. So 73 overall, B potential, we take him. I did not realize he's 29 years old, though, so who knows if we're going to even hit that B potential. Questionable Rule 5 drafting all around. Kim Waldachuk, 27 years old, only 1 year of MLB service, but 27, you know, that's pretty old. Tyler Locklear here, B potential, not a lot of offense on day 1, kind of just an average player defensively and offensively. 0 years of MLB service though, 24 years old. I think Locklear is someone who we could feel pretty good about. Luke Gold as well, at 64 overall, 24 years old, similar caliber player here. And then Jeremy De La Rosa, center fielder, 63 overall, 23 years of age. Really solid defender day 1. Good speed. The offense needs work. A lot of options here. I would go with Jeremy De La Rosa. And I realized that's it. We need to stop drafting Rule 5 players here. We'll skip our selection. And it looks like no one else makes a selection there in that round. And the Rule 5 draft comes to an end. I hope I don't regret those. And Gleyber Torres has signed as well. So our offers here are Goldschmidt and Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler being the big one I'm targeting here. The biggest one that would really, I think, change our pitching staff. And we have signed Walker Buehler. So Goldschmidt's our only remaining player, as we're up to 55 projected surplus in the millions and 60 current budget. Walker Buehler signs on with the team. Fantastic signing here. Love his stats, love his potential. and I think he elevates our play considerably. There's only one more player to add on, and Goldschmidt's the one I'm currently targeting, but I realized I'm not going to compete with $14 million with the Mets. They can have him for that. I understand that teams just have more money to throw around. Now, I have money to spend here. I don't know why I'm not going to, but CJ Cron, former Rocky. What if we brought him onto the team? CJ Cron. Brandon Belt, of course, also could be good. Ultimately, I would decide to try to bring back CJ Cron for a one-year deal. Again, this is a guy that could probably drop down to the minor leagues. Wouldn't be too big of a deal. And we are pretty much done with our free agency here as we bring on CJ Cron. I do wish there was an easier way to tell if you've signed players. I think this system is a little whack. I would be interested to see what it's like in 25. Now we're on to the arbitration hearings. The off season's a lot. It's too much for a video, but we're going to get through this, and next season we're going to do this in a stream. Let's get on to arbitration, and they signed with Milner. $2.5 million, and this is going to be the theme of this arbitration hearing season, as they'll also side with John Curtis. And Juan Soto signs with the Pirates. Waits all offseason to finally sign for a mega deal there. We'll have to keep a look on their season going forward. The Rockies win Sam Hilliard though, $800,000, and then we lose Peter Lambert for almost $2 million. So arbiters are not signing or siding with us. Karen Check for $2.5 million. Oscar Yanoa for $1.5 million. Dakota Hudson 1.7. We're getting our butts kicked here. What does that mean our budget's gone to? Well, we're now down to $40 million yearly or projected surplus. They signed with Jake Bird for $885,000. How about Gilbreth for $1 million? I lost almost every arbitration hearing except for one, and we finished with $38 million yearly surplus and $43 million available budget. I don't know if I need to get those numbers more even next time. The offseason has officially come to an end, and this is where we will leave off. Tomorrow I will be streaming the spring games at noon. Please make sure you check in. That's noon Central Time. We will be streaming some baseball here on the channel. I am so excited to see this pitching staff play. I think we've got so many better pitchers now. The bullpen took a big step forward. And on offense, while I think we're not necessarily going to be too much better, I think if my timing gets better, I think the team progresses just a little bit. This team's not far off from winning more games. I don't know if this team's close to a playoffs, but thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow at noon. Be there or be square.